The World Health Organization said last week that cases in India accounted for 38% of global coronavirus cases. More than 200,000 people have died. What is behind this uncontrolled second wave in India, and what lessons can we learn? Our 9Health expert, Dr. Payal Kohli, joins us to discuss the crisis in India. Good morning.
Good morning, Corey.
So one of the big issues is what medical experts are calling the double mutant variant. What is that all about?
So the double mutant variant, Corey, is the 617 variant, and it basically it's a bit of a misnomer, actually, because it has more than 12 mutations, not just two, but it has two famous mutations, one from like the variant from California and one from like the variant from South Africa. And one of these mutations makes it more sticky, so it gets into cells more quickly, and the other makes it evade the immune system, so it actually makes it easier for the virus to evade the antibody protection. And the WHO modeling data actually tells us that this variant grows more quickly, and so therefore it's more transmissible, and that's really what we think may be responsible for these cases in India.
Is there a vaccine that's effective against this double mutant?
Yeah, and that's the good news there. There's actually a homegrown vaccine from India. It's called the Covaxin vaccine. It was entirely developed in India, and it's a two-dose vaccine. And what they found is that it's 78% effective against coronavirus in general and 100% effective against hospitalizations. The clinical trial data just got reported on that just a few days ago. But it's very early in its development. It's not yet started to get into people's arms. So really, the next step is going to be most critical in fighting this crisis is going to be getting it out there, manufacturing, distributing, and administrating the vaccine.
So one of the big issues is that once people get the virus there, they really have a lack of medical supplies to fight it as well.
That's exactly right. I think that's one of the biggest problems that's really facing India. And I think that this really teaches us a valuable lesson here, because just about a month ago, India was under the impression that they've hit herd immunity. So in a way, they let their guard down. And they're caught in that sort of situation that we perhaps were in about a year ago, where there was lack of PPE, lack of oxygen, lack of ventilators. And what you're seeing are people coming from hundreds of miles away just to get oxygen, people being treated in their cars, people being treated in makeshift tents in the parking lot. And the problem with that is not only does it not, give them good care, but it also facilitates the spread of the virus even further, because those are not the conditions that you should be treating the coronavirus patients in.
And Dr. Kohli, you kind of touched on this a little bit about like letting our guard down, but what other factors may have led to this second wave?
So Corey, what we saw in the Spanish flu was that there were 3 waves. And one of the biggest factors that leads to a second wave or a resurgence is human behavior, which then drives the virus's behavior. So, as I said, India sort of let their guard down because they thought that they had hit herd immunity. And really what was happening was that the cases were underdiagnosed. Just about 2 weeks ago, they had a very large religious gathering with over 1 million people in attendance, thinking that they had controlled the virus. And we're going to see the impact of that in the coming weeks. And as we've talked about, the rate of vaccinations in India, despite being the biggest manufacturer of vaccines, only 2%. So all of those factors put together really, as well as the variants, the UK variant is there as well as others, have really led to this crisis in India.
All of those things have really been the perfect storm for them. It's really tough to see the numbers and the images come out of there. Dr. Kohli, we really appreciate you joining us this morning.